Welcome to Casa Academy Chapter 14, Part 1, where we will cover real estate-related computations and closing of transactions. Seriously, massive congratulations on making it this far in the course. You've tackled some genuinely tough material to get to this advanced stage, and you should be incredibly proud of yourself. By this point in your studies, you've already mastered so many of the legal, financial, and practical concepts that really form the absolute foundation of a real estate career. Okay, let's dive into this, because in this chapter, we are going to bring all those abstract ideas together. We're literally taking everything you've learned and translating it into the concrete reality of finalizing a deal. It's the whole shebang.
To get us there, here is a quick roadmap for this explainer. We'll be hitting Section 1, the closing process defined, Section 2, financial adjustments and prorations, Section 3, navigating real estate math, and wrapping up with Section 4, strategies for exam success.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the closing process defined.
Think of this as the ultimate finish line of a real estate transaction. After a purchase and sale contract is completely executed by everybody involved, the transaction naturally marches toward closing. Simply put, closing is the process where ownership and control of the property officially transfer from the seller to the buyer on a specific agreed-upon date. This is the big day, guys. It's that magic moment where all those dry legal theories we've been studying suddenly become a concrete reality, and the keys finally change hands.
Moving right along, we hit Section 2, financial adjustments and prorations. Picture yourself sitting right there at the closing table. You can't just hand over a check for the purchase price, shake hands, and call it a day. It just doesn't work like that. Certain costs have to be paid right then and there. We're talking about things like taxes, recording fees, and various other transaction-related expenses. It's absolutely crucial that we ensure every single expense and obligation is divided completely fairly between the buyer and the seller. And that actually brings us to a massive concept for this chapter, proration. In plain English, this just means dividing an expense or credit between the parties based on the portion of time each party owned or will own the property during a given period. So the crucial point is, this is really just about basic fairness. Think about it. It wouldn't be fair for a buyer to pay for a full year of property taxes if they only own the home for a single month, right? Proration fixes that imbalance perfectly. Let's look at property taxes as an example. Often they accrue way before closing but haven't actually been paid yet. You have the seller's period leading right up to the closing date, and that is followed immediately by the buyer's period. The appropriate portion of that tax obligation must be accurately allocated to match those exact periods. Oh, and before I forget, your verification code is 656501. Now, making sure we allocate these periods properly is exactly why we have to rely on real estate math, which provides a perfect segue into Section 3, navigating real estate math. I completely understand that jumping into the dreaded math section of real estate makes a lot of people nervous. But let me reassure you right now, once you understand the formulas and the actual reasoning behind them, most of these calculations become incredibly straightforward. As you work through your course materials, you're going to encounter sample settlement documents and transaction records to practice with. For instance, you might come across a closing file labeled 588891. A file like this could contain several prorations that must be calculated before the transaction is totally finalized. The key here, and I really want you to focus on this, is to take the time to understand not just how the math works, but why each adjustment is being made in that file. If you grasp the why, the how becomes a piece of cake. I want you to think of formulas as your professional tools in a toolbox. The process is so simple. Step 1, learn the formula. Step 2, recognize when to apply it. Step 3, solve the problem. It really is that straightforward. Once you know the formula and you recognize the right situation, like, say, spotting an unpaid tax versus a prepaid fee, solving the problem is just a matter of plugging in the numbers. Honestly, your calculator does all the heavy lifting for you. The formulas themselves are just the keys that unlock the entire calculation process. Let's bring it home with our final topic, Section 4, strategies for exam success. Do not rush. Write out your work, organize your numbers clearly, and draw proration timelines when appropriate. And this brilliantly illustrates how simply slowing down prevents the most common student mistakes. You see, most errors don't happen because the math is too complex. They happen because people try to skip steps or do mental gymnastics. A simple timeline scribbled out on your scratch paper makes it unbelievably easy to figure out exactly who owes what and for which specific period of time. To recap, here is your core golden takeaway from this entire chapter.
Closing involves the transfer of ownership and the proper allocation of financial responsibilities between the buyer and seller. That's the whole game right there. It's a logical, highly repeatable process. Whether you're sitting down for your exam or handling an actual, real-life real estate transaction in the near future, if you learn the formulas, understand how prorations function, and take your time with the numbers, you are absolutely setting yourself up for guaranteed success.
So, with a solid grasp on these foundational concepts, everything from closing procedures to prorations, taxes, and recording fees, you are well prepared for what comes next. My final question to you is this. Are you ready to draw your first proration timeline and actually finalize the deal? Grab a pen, pull up your course materials, and let's get calculating.